Welcome to Digging into the Future. Today we have the pleasure to have our Lieutenant Governor from Hawaii here, Sylvia Luke. Thank you so much for joining us on Digging into the Future.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's a exciting time here in Hawaii, I think. We were watching yesterday, you're spending quite a bit of time on digital infrastructure and technology and kind of its impact on the state. I think you've been a big proponent of a lot of change in that area. Yeah. Can you just give us a little bit of a background on what's going on?
No, absolutely. One of the initiatives that I decided to spearhead after I became Lieutenant Governor 2 years ago was broadband infrastructure. And coming out of COVID, everyone realized broadband was a top of mind issue because, people were forced to work from home. People were forced to do telehealth and even online learning. Everything depended on reliable broadband service. And so it became a top of mind issue. And thanks to the federal government, they've invested close to $500 million to this state alone. And so we're taking advantage of that and making sure every community, every household has reliable high-speed internet service.
Are you doing it completely just as a state, or is it a public-private sort of initiative? Is it all just funded from the federal and state government?
We can't do this alone. And, whether it's broadband or any other service, government can't do things alone. We are very thankful to our incumbent carriers like Hawaiian Telecom, making efforts and great strides, and even Spectrum, and a lot of the wireless service providers as well. They're all doing their part to ensure that people have reliable broadband service. But for us, Hawaii is isolated. And because Hawaii is isolated, we are heavily dependent on undersea cable to connect us to the rest of the world. Even the closest continental state is 6 hours away. Yeah, on flight. And so imagine, even just to communicate to the mainland U.S., we need that undersea cable. And we're thankful to folks like Google and many of the other private partners for bringing the lines to the state of Hawaii.
Yeah, no, I think it's something that you have a unique problem, I guess, that other states don't have to, which is how do I get across this expanse of ocean to connect yourself to the rest of the United States, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. And we're finding out all kinds of unfortunate realities to a lot of the Pacific nations. We consider other Pacific nations as our sister nations. And for a lot of these nations, there were some that never had broadband service. And even an executive from Google was telling me that in order to communicate with them, to deliver broadband to their nation, the leader of that nation had to fly to another place to even do a Zoom meeting. And that's something that we would never even think about on a regular situation, but it's that reality that people are living in the world. And to be able to connect all the Pacific nations and for us to share information, for us to look at ingenuity and innovation, I think we are taking the world to the next century and beyond.
No, I think you're in a really important place. Mm-hmm. I think especially with a lot of emphasis in the last few years on the Pacific and the importance of the Pacific, not only to the United States, but to many of its Asian partners. One of the key things for digital infrastructure and growth is actually around education as well, right? And I had the honor of meeting the new University of Hawaii president, but I think that's one of the other areas I think that you've put a lot of focus on, and how do you actually build up, it's not only just the infrastructure, but it's also the people to make it all happen, right?
Yeah, no, you're so right. And our University of Hawaii has been instrumental in this field of work, and Garrett Yoshimi from the University of Hawaii has helped actually with Guam government and has partnered with Guam to develop some of their infrastructure, broadband infrastructure. And now he's helping us spearhead how do you use and expand infrastructure right here in our state of Hawaii. And for the state of Hawaii, because we're an island state and we have various islands, we need to connect the various islands. So we'll be using the federal funds to connect Hawaii, the Hawaiian Islands together. Part of that, as you recognize, broadband, we consider it a three-legged stool. we need infrastructure, which is the actual, under the ground, the lines, the fiber. And then the second thing is the devices, because even if we lay all the infrastructure we want, unless people have devices, they're not going to even be able to get on. And the third thing, which was the most important, was even during COVID, when we allow pocket Wi-Fis to be given to students, we realized people didn't know how to use it and people didn't know how to turn it on, only because they didn't have infrastructure. So you need all three. You need infrastructure, devices, and the know-how. And know-how is the most important thing. And so what we are doing now is working with our broadband office to see if we can have digital navigators. These are individuals who will help people, our citizens, know how to get on a program, to be able to navigate through the internet. And so we're entering into a very exciting time for the state of Hawaii.
No, I think it's interesting because I spent quite a bit of time with the Pacific Island nations, and you are really taking a leadership position. And you're sort of like the big brother or big sister to some of these smaller islands, and sort of leading the way on how do you actually bring this infrastructure to work for them. Because I think many of the things you just highlighted is true. These places don't know, you're connected to the internet, but how do I at my house get it connected? I think it's pretty amazing what you're doing. I think it's really a testament to the focus, because it's, they say the last 20% of a population and getting them online is the hardest, right? Because a lot of them may not have much education. They may be more remote areas, and so it's fantastic what you've done. I think it's just an incredible leadership position you've taken.
No, thank you. And yet, just from even 2 years ago or 3 years ago, right now, when people, about 5 years ago, when we used to talk about broadband, people's eyes rolled over, and they're like, well, okay, we don't want to be talking about broadband. I don't really know what this is about. And to some people, it was scary. But now, when you talk about broadband, people are paying attention, and when we're talking about the speed, when we're talking about, the loading time, people are paying attention and they understand. And in fact, we challenge our middle schoolers on this little project, and it was called Digital Detective, and we wanted to ask the middle schoolers to test the speed in their homes. And we had about 6,000 entries around the state, and these middle schoolers were testing speeds, and they were going, okay, this is slow, this is fast, and they had a really good time. And then this was engaging the younger generation who really know how to use broadband internet service to teach their grandma, grandpa, kupuna, or their family members about speed in their own home. And that helped us aggregate the data to present to the federal government about what communities needed the services.
That's amazing. That's a great idea. That's so impressive. Yesterday we had some of the government officials from the United States here, and they're talking about the importance of education. And actually, a lot of these initiatives have to start very young and sort of build them up in terms of just new technologies and how we focus on things. Tell me about one of the big, before we talk about some of the local stuff here, talk about artificial intelligence. That's the new thing, right? Which is everyone's buzzing about. And how do you see Hawaii playing a role, or do you think it's going to help with the government, et cetera? Is it something you've looked at?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Even as a small type of program, we have to utilize artificial intelligence. In fact, the fact that we're having a really hard time with workforce, AI is the key. I'm going to give you an example. So for instance, the state of Hawaii, if you're flying to the state of Hawaii from the continent, you have to fill out those ag forms. And it's a paper form, and it drives the flight attendants crazy because people are always asking for a pen, and no one has a pen. And this is a good time for you to get to know your neighbor, but your neighbor is sleeping. How are you going to get this pen to fill out this ag form? And then why haven't we thought about putting that as an online service, digitizing it? So this year, I'm working with the Department of Agriculture, Department of Transportation, and our airline partners to finally digitize this. And it will provide so much better service. And we need to look, as state government, look at AI is the path to solving many of our issues and making it more convenient, efficient, and effective for our residents.
No, I think that's great. And I think, yes, that would be, as a guy that just flies in here every year, I would say that's one thing, you could fix. But I think these are the small things, but actually they also bring you a lot of data and a lot of accessible data too. It tells you a lot about who's coming to Hawaii, why they're coming to Hawaii. I mean, that forum is probably great, but you probably have someone manually trying to figure all this out.
I know.
And, and AI will give you some really good insight. So I think that's fantastic. One of the other things I think that will probably be a part of that is as AI starts to come here, you may actually have the opportunity to have training models here, right, too, which is maybe the next time we're talking, we'll be talking about your power industry here in Hawaii as well, which is because most of the companies that are here, when they come to see us at PTC, it's largely around electricity now and how they can build these big data centers.
Right. Oh, I was talking to some folks, and they are setting up data centers here, and then they're thinking about doing different kind of innovative things. And I think, that is the key. How do technology, telecommunication, how does broadband change our world, change how we think, change how we do things on a daily basis, and provides opportunities for us to innovate, for us to adapt, and then look at what other programs that we can get into.
No, I think it's going to be another future initiative, I'm sure, with you and the team. Talk to us about PTC. PTC's been you've been a great partner for us at PTC, and obviously it's a big event now that I think it's getting bigger and bigger in Hawaii. Broke a record this year for folks coming here, but. How do you see it as a keystone for your sort of initiatives in Hawaii?
Well, we're just so thankful to PTC, for them to continue to host this conference. And, I had no idea that PTC started right here back in 1978. What a milestone, what accomplishment. And this year, they had the largest gathering, and the number kept growing. The last time we heard it was 7,000, and now we heard that it was 9,000 participants. And we're getting head of nations come, and we're getting major industry leaders coming right here to see how they can better service and share ideas with each other. And that is so terrific. And we're just so thankful to PTC. And one of the other things that I just learned this year that you folks have been doing, that you have been partnering with Make-A-Wish Foundation to raise a lot of money. What a terrific idea, and what a terrific initiative. These folks, the participants are awake already, and why not, try to fundraise for a good cause. So I, thank you to the council, thank you to all you folks for making that a reality.
Well, we love, I must say, you've been a great partner to us, and Hawaii is, especially even during some of the leaner times and more trouble. All of us went through COVID, and as you know, conferences don't navigate through, non-traveling capabilities very well. So we had a rough time through that, and I think you were a great partner for us during that time. So
thank you.
But I'd like to say thank you so much for your partnership, and it's been fantastic to have you with us here on Digging into the Future, and look forward to seeing you again next year, hopefully.
Yeah, thank you. Mahalo.
Mahalo.